Welcome, everybody. We're welcoming back Ted Sevransky, professional sports bettor out in Las Vegas, and anxious to find out what Ted did over the weekend, how he beat the book, and what the key points to betting this upcoming Super Bowl, number 50, what those key points may be. Ted, welcome back. I hope you beat the daylights out of the book yesterday. If you will, bring to light some of the key points to bet this Super Bowl coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to cash with both AFC and NFC championship videos from last week. We recommended an under for Denver, New England. We recommended Carolina in the Panthers-Arizona game. For my clients, I did well as well. I won my big play on the Panthers over, and I also had some New England, which was my one loser of the weekend in NFL betting action. But you know what? I'll take it. I'm not going to complain by any stretch of the imagination. But when we start to really analyze Super Bowl 50, the first thing I do, you know me, history lesson. These games don't occur in a vacuum. Bets don't happen in a vacuum. Power ratings aren't set in a vacuum. And long-term successful Super Bowl strategies don't come out of nowhere. So the first thing I do every year when it comes to Super Bowl is take a look back. And I'm not trying to look back 40 years and 50 years and all that. I want to know what's been happening the last few years and what's been happening, let's call it a little bit of a longer sample size, say here in the 21st century.
Now, with that being said, what are some of those key points, and what do you think might be the determining factor with this game as far as, you know, who can grab the edge?
Well, you know, I mean, last year's Super Bowl was very unique, being that it was a pick'em price game. It's the only Super Bowl that was priced at the close at pick'em in Super Bowl history. Wow. Prior to last year, we had seen a real consistent, what's the word I'm looking for? Success. Consistent success from underdogs, where underdogs in the Super Bowl, again, prior to last year, had gone, I got 6-1 against the spread in the last 7 tries, and only one of those underdogs failed to win the game in outright fashion. So the dogs have been barking loudly in recent Super Bowls, regardless of whether it's been AFC or NFC or the hot team or the not hot team. It's been the underdog who's been getting the money, and yet all the early money came in on the favorite, Carolina.
You know, when I saw that line this morning, I kind of just had a big grin on my face because I was aware of those stats with the underdog as well, and I'm laying it on Denver. I like it. Something inside just tells me Denver. My question, Ted, do you think that line, I saw it at 4.5, do you think that's a fair line?
I do think it's a fair line. I do think it's likely to come down a notch.
Okay, you know, that was my next question. What do you think it might settle at by kickoff?
4. You know, I'm not convinced the 4.5s will be there. But look, I mean, this is a fascinating game to talk about the line moves. There were bettable lines at multiple sports books from the get. As soon as Denver won, they had a Denver versus Arizona line and a Denver versus Carolina line as hypothetical matchups, both here in Vegas and offshore. And the first point spreads that came out as Carolina was kicking off, we saw Denver as a 2.5-point dog at some shops, at a 3-point dog at other shops. And then Carolina scored, and they scored again, and they scored again. And then all of a sudden, the 2.5s are gone, and now it's 3. And then Carolina comes out in the second half, and they're just, you know, Arizona makes a little run, nothing happens, they turn the ball over, and then it's Carolina, boom, 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 blowout. And all of a sudden, the 3s are gone. And I'm like, all right, well, let's call it, and I don't want to jump the gun when it comes to, you know, the official opening point spread or anything. There is no official opening point spread, obviously. But I was on Twitter. I'm like, let's call the official opener 3.5, 44.5. And lo and behold, what happens? The money keeps rolling on Carolina. I'm not talking little bets. I'm talking big bets on the Panthers. And then all the 3.5s are gone, and it's 4. And then all the 4s are getting bought up, and we're looking at 4.5s. You know, the Westgate in Vegas hangs a 5.5, an off-market number, right from the get-go, and the market, boom, zooms in that direction. So, you know, at 4.5, 45.5 right now, we've seen over money, we've seen Carolina money. But the way these Super Bowls tend to go, especially when you talk about money line value, the people that take the favorites to cover. The people that take the underdog to win on the money line.
Wow.
So you'll oftentimes see your best value, per se, in a Super Bowl wager is taking the dog plus the points or taking the favorite on the money line.
Wow.
That's where you find your market inefficiencies on the most consistent basis.
You know, Ted, I read an interesting stat also. This will be the first Super Bowl that Peyton Manning is going in as an underdog, and I think he relishes that right now because he's had a chance to look back and say, you know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I didn't want to hear manage an offense, but now he knows if he can just manage that offense, you know, they can get it done because obviously that defense is the real deal. Do you think Peyton has, you know, enough what it takes to just kind of lay low, manage that offense, and let the defense get the big W? I mean, do you think he's, you know, his pride is past that point of having to be the focal point of that team?
Yeah, I think Peyton Manning, in Peyton Manning's best case scenario, he throws 4 passes in this game and hands the ball off to, you know, Hillman or Anderson 60 times. You know, I mean, that's the best case. If you're going to say what's the best way for Denver to win this game, to pull the upset, they have to be able to run the football. And I think they're going to make it a concerted effort to run the football in this contest right from the get-go. So, you know, Manning's ego in terms of throwing the ball, heck no, he just could care less. Look, John Elway won his only 2 Super Bowl titles with Terrell Davis as being the star on that team. And Elway got to smile and flash that, you know, $1 million smile, and he threw a couple of passes. But the reality was that Terrell Davis won him 2 Super Bowls. Manning would be very, very happy to be in a similar situation on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, and I think they're going to try to establish that early with C.J. Anderson. Another fact that I learned from all this, and I didn't know this, Peyton's $2 million richer today because of winning that championship, and he has another clause for $2 million more if he takes 70% of the snaps in the Super Bowl. What do you think his chances are of getting $2 million more? Actually, I'm not even going to ask you that question now. I'll wait till later on.
I'd be confident that Peyton Manning will take 70% of the snaps in this game.
Yeah.
Unless Carolina eats him up and hurts him in the first half or something, but I don't necessarily see that playing out that way.
Yeah, and I like your breakdown on they have to control the ball, they have to run the ball, because there's no doubt in my mind they saw how explosive and how quick Carolina can score. Not at will, but damn near almost at will. So that's got to be their defensive strategy, you know, just slow that whole game down, run that clock, and let it go from there. All right, Ted. Well, listen, we appreciate your key points to betting Super Bowl 50. We look forward to getting with you in the next couple weeks as this thing gets bigger before kickoff. Have a great day, and we look forward to having you back soon, Ted.